Hi friends, I'm back for Junk Journal January and we are on prompt number 21, which is map. And I am fortunate to have found a enormous pile of old maps ranging from the 30s up to the 70s or 80s, and got them at an estate sale auction, and I have a literal trunk full. Many of these have been written on or altered, just like this one. So although they don't make great display maps anymore, they make fantastic embellishments for junk journals. So you can see this one's got lots of scribbling on it, which I think is really cool for art, but people who collect maps don't love those so much. So good for me. Very excited to use this one. And I was thinking that I would like to turn this into a pocket and have a see-through window. And I think I'd like to use acetate. I pre-stamped this acetate using Stays-On ink so that it doesn't smear. And I think it would just be super cool because it follows the color scheme. It sticks with the vintage fashion theme. And this map is double-sided. And I love both sides. So I thought it would be fun to just make a simple pocket that folds over. You attach the acetate as a window, and then you have, a transparent pocket so you can see what's inside. And then I can add, ephemera or journaling space or all kinds of fun stuff. I just love the practicality of pockets. What girl doesn't love pockets, right? Can never have enough. So that's my plan for today. So to get started, I'm just gonna grab my junk journal signatures to use as an estimate of size. And I think a good size for this is probably gonna be at least 5 inches wide. And I'm not quite sure on the height yet, but maybe half the height of a page. So most of my pages are 5.5 by 7.5. So I'm thinking I might just do a square 5x5 pocket. So that is what I'm going to make. I'm going to try to do this live. I am not one to sort of pre-plan beyond grabbing some materials and giving it a quick think. So I'm just going to go for it. So I'm going to start by measuring this out so I know what size pocket I want. Although I usually tear, I think I'm going to use a ruler to tear so I have some more even edges. Could even use scissors and just sort of fold the sides and the bottom up as if I was making, an envelope, and use that to encase the acetate. And then I suspect that some double-sided tape is probably going to be the move here. It won't be visible if I fold over the edges, which is great, and it will be nice and secure, and it won't take as long to dry. That's what I'm thinking. So, and I have an enormous pile of double-sided tape from card making over here, so may as well use it. So let's just take a look at how this would work out if I wanted to do a 5x5. And I really kind of like, capturing some of the interest here. So I'm just trying to figure out kind of a good spot for this, but I don't want to be wasteful either. So I may just go here and do it this way. So I'm just gonna do some little marks so that I know where I'm tearing. And again, I'm gonna do 5x5 square. So I'm just gonna start at the top here and measure 5 across, and then I wanna do a 1/2 inch fold over, I think. So we're gonna make it 6 inches so that I have a 1/2 inch on each side to fold over. And then from there, I'm gonna do similar on the way down. So 5 inches marks the length, and then 5.5 inches to do the height so that I have enough room to really fold this over. And that's gonna be kind of hard to see, but I think I got it. Okay. I also really struggle with making things straight. So I'm just gonna double check with my handy dandy T-square just to make sure that I kind of have this correct. So if I put this up at the top here, I've got 3 inches, 4 inches, 5 inches, 5.5 inches would be about here. So I'm gonna scoot it down, make sure it's lined up, and just go across. Okay. And actually that's really hard to see, and I'm sure you can't see it on the camera, so I'm gonna pull out something darker to use because this is gonna be folded anyway, so I don't think it really matters. So we're gonna go over to 6. This is far more accuracy than I usually use, but it's because I'm using straight edges and I want this to actually function as a pocket. And then we'll go down here. Okay, great. So now that I've got that measured out, just go ahead and cut that. Great. Okay. So I'll put the rest of my map back into my stash. Use it later for another project. And then we can start with the folding. So once again, I want to do this at about 1/2 inch mark. This will be visible, so I'll use a pencil again, and then I can erase the marks if I want, or leave them. I mean, it's already scribbled on, so who cares really? Okay, so I've got 1/2 inch on each side to serve as my fold points, and I'll just go ahead and mark it up down here too to make it a little easier on myself. And then the same down here. So I would like to do this at about 1/2 inch height. Right about there. Okay, great. So I'm gonna get my bone folder out just so that I can make this you know, crisp, and I'm gonna do my best to fold. And I like having the map be visible, so I'm gonna fold it in this way. I'm gonna actually break out my scoreboard, primarily because I don't trust myself. It's hard to see, so since I'm folding inward, I think it will just be a little bit easier if I go ahead and score this. I'm going to line it up, and on this platform, which I fixed, if you watch my previous videos, you may have heard the crashing as I broke it, but super glue to the rescue. The top one is a blade, the bottom one is for scoring, so I'm just going to give it, you know, a nice gentle score, enough to make it easy for me to find the fold. Same here. And then again on the bottom. And I can see by my pencil lines that it is where it's supposed to be, so huzzah. That was pretty painless. That's why I love a good scoreboard. If you don't have one, I definitely recommend them. Now to make this fold a little better, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this little notch here, but I'm gonna fold it up just to make it easier to spot where I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna take my score, I'm gonna fold it over on itself on both sides. And although this makes it easier, it is not foolproof. So a good way to know is just to check your ends and make sure they're lined up before you bone fold it. Just give it kind of a gentle fold to make sure you're maintaining those straight edges on the ends. There you can see, so that means it's lined up properly. Okay, so we're gonna unfold this, and there's this little square, and that does create some bulk. It's sort of like when you're making envelopes, so it's a good idea to trim that out. I'm gonna grab my smaller detail scissors and just give that a trim. Not scientific, but just kind of going edge to edge. And if that's not enough, I can fully cut out the square, but I'm gonna try it like this first and see how that goes. It's a little easier to spot on this side because I don't have as much patterning. But basically I'm just aiming for corner to corner. And I actually have a notching tool, but I didn't bring it, and I'm not gonna go get it. This will probably be close enough, because that is usually how I roll. So let's just check it. Perfect. Because you fold it up, that's not visible, but it does help remove a lot of that bulk. So this is essentially what our pocket is gonna look like, which I think is great. So now I want to take my pre-stamped piece of acetate. You could use vellum, you could use tissue paper, you could use the little plastic bags that stationery and stamps and stencils and things of that nature come in if you don't have acetate. I happen to have acetate because I make shaker cards. So I already had a bunch of scraps on hand, which is why I used it. And you can stamp any image on it, but make sure that you use archival waterproof ink so that it doesn't smear or smudge. I have two kinds. I've got the Ranger in black and teal, and I have a bunch of StazOn in a variety of colors, and this is actually the one that I use, this midnight blue StazOn. So just grab a stamp and pop it onto something that is transparent or translucent, and if none of those options work, you can just make a fun traditional pocket with another piece of coordinating paper as well. And actually, this is so close to already being perfect. So that is a fantastic luck of the draw. I didn't do anything with this. I just grabbed it out of my stash of focal points that I started making. But I'm just going to trim it up a little bit so that it fits perfect. So again, this is, let's double check. I'm so guilty of not double checking. It is in fact 5 inches, which was the plan, and not quite 5 inches. I'm not great at measurements. That's okay. So we're gonna make it pretty close to 5 by 5. So I'm just gonna line her up. It is so hard to see because it is see-through, but you can feel to make sure that it is correct. And I'm just gonna go ahead and give it a trim. Get a little strip. And we'll do the same here at the bottom. And because my measurement was slightly less, I'm just gonna scoot her down just a hair to the 4 3/4 mark. Give that a trim. Did anything even come off? I don't think so. No, it didn't, which is fine. So no trimming required for the bottom. Huzzah. Okay, so again, you can use glue. if that's what you have on hand and you don't have double-sided tape, just use some glue. I happen to have too much double-sided tape. I mean, you can never really have too much. I use it all the time. But this red tape in particular is one of my favorites because it's very thin width-wise, and it's very, very strong. It's also can be challenging to use because it's incredibly sticky. And in fact, I got it for doing book covers and spines. I have some more traditional double-sided tape that I use just for simple card making, and I'm sure that would work just as well. But I'm going to make this one sturdy and go ahead and use this extra strong red tape because I've got it on hand, and why not? So I'm going to put her to the side. Just going to open the folds here. I'm going to put the tape here, here, and here. I'll place her inside and then fold it over. Should be easy peasy lemon squeezy. Let's see if that remains true. Every time I say that, it is, in fact, not true. And actually, I'm wondering, let's double check, because it might be wise to put it on her. How short is it? Does it fit? Moment of truth. So she's puffing out a little bit. I don't hate it because it gives dimension, and it'll be easier to slip things into that see-through pocket. But she might look a little better if I trimmed her up. So let's just give her a tiny haircut on one side to just make it like a little bit easier. I'm going to take off about 1/4 of an inch here. I don't want to do too much so that it doesn't fit securely, but I also don't want her to bulge too much just because I already have so much bulk in this junk journal. Okay, that's a much better fit. So top to bottom, she fits, great. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the tape on, and you could put it on her or you could put it on here, but I'm thinking it might be easier to do it this way because I can see the paper where I am going to certainly struggle to see it on the translucency, and I don't want to get out my glasses. I'm 47, so I need glasses, but I don't like wearing them. I don't know why. I'm gonna have to make peace with it at some point, but not today. Not today, I don't. I actually have perfect vision except for astigmatism. Yay for getting older. It happens to all of us. Just one of those things that comes with being an aging human. And I am grateful that I have that opportunity. So I'll just have to deal with all that comes with it. And I accidentally stuck it to the meh. Got a little paper on there, so I'm just gonna trim that bit, and then we'll put our final piece on. Excellent. Okay, so we're gonna put her in and line her up. Just like that. She doesn't go exactly to the folds, but close enough. And from here, I have found that using an X-Acto knife or tweezers work really well for removing the top of this double-sided tape. You can use your thumbnails if you have short ones, but if not, just grab some precision tweezers or an X-Acto knife, and it makes the process of removing the top of the double-sided tape a lot easier because you can really grab those little edges and just get that satisfying peel. And I'm just holding her in place so that she doesn't wiggle around too much. And I am going to start with the bottom, like that, and then my sides, like that. And then this side, like that. Ta-da! Now we have ourselves a pocket. And I think it's pretty fun because it has this, you know, writing here, but it's not too busy or distracting, but does give it some interest. We've got Our Lady, who will make the pocket more interesting when we do have stuff inside, and we've got our map that you can see through it. That's pretty fun. So now attaching it to the junk journal, you can do that a lot of ways. You can take this and glue it directly to a page if you want, so that it is a permanent pocket. You could add some washi tape and have it be a tip in or a flip out on either side, which could make for some fun hidden journaling space, which I like a lot. Or you can keep it really loosey-goosey if you don't know what you're doing and just use a paper clip. You can use a plain paper clip, or I have some really pretty fancy shaped paper clips that are fun, or you can do some hidden paper clips. I have not done any for this journal yet, and I would really like to do at least one by the end. So for now, I am not going to attach her because I want to keep some flexibility. We still have, you know, many days left in this month, and then I can decide what I want to do with her later, if I keep this journal or if I decide to sell this journal. I'll leave it loose so that whoever purchases it can put it wherever they want. You know, they can glue it down, they can paper clip it, can move it around, add it to a pocket. So many choices. So I'm gonna call this one done. And here's, you know, I don't have any journaling cards handy, but essentially you would just slip it in there just like that. And that gives you an idea of how it functions. So you could stuff all kinds of ephemera in here, you know, things from your daily life, tickets from travel, or little art pieces. You can create some little artist trading cards and pop them in there. Really, there are so many possibilities of fun things that you can store in this pocket. So again, I want to leave that open for my future creative self or the future owner's creative self to decide how they want to make use of this. But it's just such a fun and practical embellishment made from a map. And if you're looking to source maps, there are a lot of great places. Obviously, digital prints are out there all over the place. You can grab a map that has meaning to you. I happen to hike and mountain bike, and a lot of the trailheads have free maps here in Colorado. I'm sure they do in most other places, or maybe you could pay a small fee for it. But if you have a map from a special place that you've been, if you were, you know, looking at your own travels and documenting them, you could get one that is sentimental or has meaning to you. Or you could just go for one that is old and pretty that you were lucky enough to come across like I did. So that's it. I'm going to call that one a wrap. Thank you so much for journaling with me today. As always, I'd love to hear your comments. I'd love to hear what you're up to. I am on Instagram. If you want to comment on any of my posts and share a link, I'd love to see what you've done with your maps. And I will be following the Junk Journal January hashtags so that I can go out and seek all the beautiful things that other creators are making. So I hope you'll join me in appreciating others' art too. So thanks so much for your time. I hope you have a wonderful day and you make some really cool things with maps. See you next time.